What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you survived the end of Sunday's Cowboys-Commanders game. Happy Thanksgiving week to you. I know we have some younger audience members, so perhaps you've got the whole week off from school. That's always the best. Hope if that is the case for you, that you're enjoying the beginning to your vacation. You have definitely earned it. That being said, this is our Dallas Cowboys, my Dallas Cowboys postgame show here in the Bleacher Report app. If you're not using the Bleacher Report app, you are missing out. It is one of the most used apps on my phone each and every single day to keep track of all of my favorite teams, including the Dallas Cowboys, including Manchester United. Sunday was not the best sports day for me, but it was pretty good thanks to the Dallas Cowboys. But you can follow me in the BR app right down below. You can also follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. I don't know the Blue Sky handle situation. I'm there. Just search RJ Ochoa, and I promise you will find me. You can check out all my written work at bloggingtheboys.com, where I have a game recap post, obviously, up already, recapping this madness that we're about to discuss here today. If you don't catch the live shows that I do here in the BR app, by the way, you can watch anything and everything that I do on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, where you can also find this stream later on starting Sunday afternoon. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. The Dallas Cowboys won on Sunday. They are 4-7 on the season now. I know that we all want to see them tank. I know that we all want to see them lose. I know that Travis Hunter is hitting the Heisman, even though they're losing against Kansas. Shout out to my Sun Devils, by the way. The Big 12 belongs to us. That's a whole nother conversation. That being said, I know that in the processing part of our brains, I know that in the logical parts of our brains, we all understand the goal. We all understand the bottom line. We all understand that the Dallas Cowboys need to tank. That is always the case whenever a season gets lost. I understand that. And I know that you understand that. I will say, though, that as much as I understand that, it is difficult to push away the want and the will and the just kind of emotion with regards to winning that comes with a game like this. I think about, growing up, obviously, as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I think about this week. I think about Thanksgiving week, when you would see family, when you would see friends, when you would all kind of gather together, obviously, and the Dallas Cowboys are a part of that. We're a unique fan base, and that it is an annual part of our holiday. I think about how difficult those times were when the Cowboys weren't good. And I think about all the people who will congregate this week, this time of year, this specific week this year, and will celebrate, we'll high five, we'll laugh about the crazy end that this was, the Cavante Turpin touchdown, who will bicker about whether or not Wanye Thomas should have gone down after the recovery of the onside kick. He should have gone down, by the way. We'll get to that in just a moment. And I think about those things, and it's difficult to push away the idea that it's difficult to push away a win. And I'll be honest with you, I'm happy that the Dallas Cowboys won. And I think you all are too, even if you are the captain of Team Tank. I see you, Johnny Boy RN, saying no to tanking. A win should always be the goal. This was a win. It is a win. That means tomorrow, Monday, November 25th, 2024, is Victory Polo Monday. So if you're new around here, what you do is you take a selfie of yourself wearing a polo, a t-shirt, a cap, a scarf. You paint your fingernails. I don't care. But you just celebrate the fact that the Dallas Cowboys won a game. You tag me on social media. You obviously know the places to do that. I will also say, and this is a very selfish thing to say on my behalf, because I don't think any of you care, and I don't say that rudely. Today is my son's 3rd birthday, and I am so fortunate and blessed to do what I do for a living. But he is my everything. My wife and I's everything. And today is his 3rd birthday. And so today is just the best day ever. It was the best day of my life, obviously 3 years ago. And I can't believe he's 3 years old. We've spent the weekend celebrating. And so this just kind of adds to that for me. And I think that that's obviously what sports are. Sports amplify our emotions in life. We've all been down in the dumps, and we've all needed something, and our sports team has come through and delivered and elevated us and lifted us. And I hope that that's what the Dallas Cowboys did for somebody on Sunday afternoon, because this was crazy. We will talk about this game for a long time, what with the way it happened and the way it ended. I'm still not totally certain. Thank you very much, Johnny Boyaran, wishing my son a happy birthday. I'm still not totally certain what the final score was. I think it was 36-24. There's a lot happening behind the scenes at Blogging the Boys, obviously, throughout a Cowboys game. I'm writing articles, I'm creating graphics, I'm getting tweets ready and things like that. And so I changed that final score graphic several different times, and I made sure that it was correct. And I think the score was 36-24, but I still don't know. I wanted to share this note with you that the broadcast had. I took a picture of it right at the very end here. This was the first game in NFL history, according to the Fox broadcast, in the Super Bowl era, with 2 missed extra point attempts, 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, and 1 blocked punt. What on earth? I mean, what even is that? How could that possibly happen in a single game? And the fact, it's amazing to me that this league is over 100 years old, although obviously that statistic is in the Super Bowl era, and we're at 59 of those this year. But it's amazing that we could even be at 60 years worth of data and still see something that we've never seen before in NFL history. That is incredible to me. Look, this game was honestly the best job that the Dallas, and look, this goes without saying, the Cowboys won the game, so I feel like that's pretty obvious. But this was the best job the Cowboys have done at anything in a very long time. Obviously, their last win prior to today was October 6th, and that game was chaotic. If you think about that, was the Sunday night win in Pittsburgh that got delayed by 90 minutes, and Celine Dion was a part of the pregame show or whatever it was, the little video that NBC had going on. This was a chaotic win. And I don't just mean the end. I mean, obviously, what that statistic entails. Brandon Aubrey's first field goal attempt in this game, the first attempted points for the Cowboys, blocked. His second field goal, it was missed. Brandon Aubrey missed all of 4 field goals prior to Monday night. It hasn't even been a full week since the Dallas Cowboys last played, and I was at that game on Monday. That's why I wasn't here with you in the postgame. But Brandon Aubrey has missed 4 field goals just since then. I mean, it's been a crazy, obviously, whirlwind of a season for the Cowboys, but this week alone, and I know that we all agree with this, that things have kind of reached a breaking point and a boiling point, and it feels like, man, there is no further to go than the rock bottom that this team has already found. But on Sunday, today, they elevated themselves, and they were not terrible. They were a functional football team. I see you, Johnny Boyaren says the Lion play was better today, not perfect, but better. Greg Olsen, who is incredible. I will stand on business that Greg Olsen is the best color commentator in the game. All due respect to Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo and Tom Brady, nobody teaches you like Greg Olsen does during an NFL game. And he was doing a great job of highlighting that, obviously, as the game went on, how the Cowboys hadn't allowed any pressures. I mean, that's what you have to do when you're playing with a backup quarterback. And kudos to Cooper Rush, man. I mean, I know that we've obviously seen him win games and help the Cowboys out in certain capacities. I think that as much as we know that to be true, we also know it to be true that there's a ceiling on Cooper Rush's abilities. And I feel like on Sunday, he really dug deep into the barrel, and he really just kind of offered more than we would have assumed he was capable of offering against Washington. And so Cooper Rush, I don't know that he gets the game ball or anything from me, but man alive, this was one of the best games that he has ever played. And again, I know that sounds obvious, but it is true. S Master Flash says, I'm Team Tank, but establishing a culture of toughness and effort is more important. And I think about, this game, this was the first time the Cowboys wore their white jerseys at Washington since 2020. I know that's super important information. I know you all really care about that. Every game since then in Washington or Landover, whatever you want to call it, the Cowboys had worn their Navy jerseys. And I bring that up to say that 2020 game, if you all remember, Dallas went to Washington and they were already kind of, that season was lost, and obviously it was the COVID season and there was a lot going on and different things like that. But Dak Prescott had been hurt and Andy Dalton was the quarterback. And if you recall, there was a moment where Andy Dalton got pushed down in kind of a cheap shot sort of way, and the Cowboys offensive line just kind of sat there and didn't really do anything. And we killed them for that at the time. Every Cowboys fan was really upset that the Cowboys offensive line just let that happen to their quarterback. And obviously it wasn't Dak Prescott, but you can't do that, right? You got to stand up for your guy. And I think that was where the culture was really, at its lowest point for the football part of the operation in 2020. And we saw them rally. And I know that I said, and I believe that a lot of you agreed at the time, again, this was Mike McCarthy's first year, that was a team that exemplified something that they never did throughout the Jason Garrett era, an ability to adapt, an ability to adjust and to win and to kind of get their fingernails dirty and fight and scratch and claw in the mud when things aren't going your way, and to be able to pull something off when your franchise quarterback isn't there. I think about it is embarrassing that the Cowboys kept Jason Garrett employed in 2016 when he went 1-11 without Tony Romo in 2015. Is that really, is your head coach adding anything to the equation when that's happening? No, that's kind of the point that I'm making here. And that being said, I do think that Mike McCarthy was in his bag, so to speak, his proverbial bag. And that's not to say that it was a perfect game for Mike McCarthy on Sunday against the Commanders, but I do think that Mike McCarthy more often than not elevated the team. And to your point, Johnny Boy, kind of helped the Cowboys, whether he's going to be a part of it or not. I think we all assume he's not. Take step one. This was step one towards a culture, towards legitimate ingredients that we can use in the future. There were things that happened on Sunday against the Commanders in the win that can absolutely be built upon. And it's not dramatic to say that there was nothing that can be built upon in the losses to Houston and Philadelphia and Detroit. I mean, those were all just kind of hysterical losses where things were spiraling far and far out of control and further into toxicity. And Sunday against Washington put a stop to that. It might be a momentary stop, but I tell you what, a week from now, not even a week from now, 5 days from now, when we wake up on Black Friday and you've just ordered that 80-inch television, all right, we're going to be sitting here talking about a 5-7 Dallas Cowboys team, because if there's one team who has quit more than the Cowboys, it's the Giants. And we get the Giants coming in now, obviously super low, tail stuck between their legs in their first game without Daniel Jones and all that stuff. And the Cowboys flying a little bit high after this win on the road against another division rival. The Cowboys have won 2 division games on the road so far this season. I don't think any of us think they'll win the third. But either way, again, if you don't think the Cowboys are going to be 5-7 on Thanksgiving night, I don't think that you're being fair. Let's get to some of your comments. Let's see. S Master Flash says Butler was a dog today. Holy crap, Josh Butler. I haven't written my stock report yet, but I definitely will. Not a perfect game, but it's never going to happen. But man alive. I mean, just an incredible game, obviously with no Trayvon Diggs in action. Just a really, really, really impressive effort. Absolutely well said. Cowboys cook 76 as Turpin gets the game ball. I've never seen a kick return like that. That was unbelievable. That was truly that was different speed. That was a different kind of speed that we saw from Turpin after the spin. The moment he saw just a bit of daylight, the moment he was able to break free just a bit, that 1 inch, my goodness gracious. I don't think this is an exaggeration either. I don't think there's another player in the NFL who can do that. Turpin is one of one in that respect. And I'll admit, if you've read my work or followed my work or tolerated my work, I haven't been the biggest believer in the idea of Kevontae Turpin on offense for the last few years. Now, I understand he has a role on special teams, and we're obviously talking about the kickoff return, the 99-yarder that once again was miraculous. That being said, I'm willing to buy. I'm willing to believe that you've got to find a way. You absolutely have to find a way to get this dude involved on offense. He's obviously not CeeDee Lamb, but he certainly offers you more than a lot of other people. Although I say that, and Jalen Brooks had a big catch. Jalen Tolbert, I know he had the drop, but he had a big catch himself. Luke Schoonmaker. This is what we want to see. Again, I think we can live in both worlds here. We can say you need to lose more games than not to tank. Obviously, the team tankers want the Cowboys to lose each and every single game, but think about the players that I just listed. Now, I don't know that they'll all be back for 2025 because you just never know with the way roster turnover happens under a new regime. But that being said, Luke Schoonmaker had a great game, has had 2 great games in a row. Brevin Spanford obviously has had 2 solid games in a row. Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin. We're talking about young, malleable assets that whoever comes in, Ben Johnson, Bill Belichick, whoever you want to pick, they're going to have some legitimate pieces to work with. So this was kind of, again, if you're team tank and you feel like this was a loss because you want the Cowboys to lose or whatever the case may be, and Travis Hunter and all that jazz, I understand where you're coming from. But it is important that these pieces and these potential franchise pieces are developing in the process. You cannot just throw away, obviously before today, 7 full games. And today was a great opportunity to kind of stretch their wings and watch them fly a little bit. Del G32, I see you in the chat, says having Rush go for negative plays at midfield instead of being aggressive and trying to get 3 points with Aubrey is 100% McCarthy. Commander scored in 1 play. Analytics says Aubrey is better than the defense over 12 weeks. Take your chances and close the game. I don't have the biggest problem with that, honestly. I mean, you've got to be able to trust your defense to not give up a single play touchdown drive. I mentioned earlier my Sun Devils. This was not Kenny Dillingham at the end of the win against BYU. That was a very different approach to the final seconds of a game, which I think I'm okay with. But again, not for this conversation. I don't have a problem with that. Again, you've got to be able to trust that your defense isn't just going to completely blow it on a single play. That was not Mike McCarthy's fault. Johnny Boy RN says Hoffman did his best to win an Oscar. Absolutely. Brock Hoffman, award him. Absolutely, Academy. I hope you're listening. Del G32 says Turpin's return and the missed point after attempt won the game for Dallas, not McCarthy. I mean, that's fair. I don't mean to say that that's obviously not true, but I think that Mike McCarthy called a solid game. I do think that Mike McCarthy was more friendly to Cooper Rush than we've seen, or put Cooper Rush in better positions to succeed. Now, he still got way too cute with things like, dude, Mike, we get it. You're going to run a jet sweep with CeeDee Lamb. We know it. The whole world knows it. Also, if you're going to bring in Trey Lance, everybody understands that he's going to try to run with the football. You got to get a little bit more creative. Again, my point here isn't to say that Mike McCarthy is awesome, but I do think that this was a more cognitive version of Mike McCarthy than we've seen in weeks past. I recognize the bar for that is extraordinarily low, so I'm not trying to say that we should throw him a parade or anything, but I definitely believe that Mike McCarthy had a legitimate hand in helping the Cowboys win on Sunday. But to your point, they also got extraordinarily lucky with different things, but they also had things break against them, like the Brandon Aubrey blocked field goal, things like that. Let's see here. S Master Flash says, will the Giants have a 20-point lead on Thursday? You mean Thursday? Or did you say? I'm sorry, I misread you. But probably not. I don't think so. And S Master Flash adds, very happy for Mike and the players today. The team needed a dub today, a punch to an arrogant Washington team and a fan base today. I agree. anytime you can embarrass a division rival is certainly a good thing. And this does feel like the moment that breaks the Commanders season. It is unfortunate, just the way competition works, that this is a benefit to the Eagles. Go Rams tonight, if you know what I'm saying. But in a weird way, like, I hate the Eagles as much as all of you, but in a weird way, I can almost tolerate the Eagles winning the division more than I can the Commanders, because I feel like the Commanders feel like, oh, we're one of you now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We hate the Eagles, but we respect them as a football operation. You're not on that level yet, Commanders. Go back to the cellar where you belong. We put you there today. Let's keep going in your comments. Johnny Boyaren says, seeing the existing building pieces perform well is so much better than the benefits of tanking. It's a great point. It's a great way to say it. And you could argue that there are obviously, and I know that you have, benefits to winning, benefits to having these, existing building pieces, experience that, taste that, understand what it's like to battle through different things and face the adversity that the NFL can obviously offer. Taish, hope I'm getting that correct, says a few draft slots difference may or may not make a difference. That's true. You've got to play that game. It's a difficult line to obviously kind of balance on. Taish adds, there's no way to know what happens before you pick. I agree. DZ55 says this is the best game Mike McCarthy called this year. I agree with you. Once again, low bar, but it is the best game that he called nonetheless. Now, I'm going to take you back to something that I have lamented about in the past, and I promise you I'm going to write about this because it is a divisive subject, and I wrote about it way back when. If you rewind the clock 7 years ago, now Josh Butler played phenomenally on Sunday in Washington, wearing number 31 for the Dallas Cowboys. The last number 31 who was awesome for the Cowboys, at corner specifically, was Byron Jones, the Senator. That being said, there was a game the Cowboys played in Washington. Byron Jones recovered a turnover, ran it for a touchdown when he could have just gone down, and the Cowboys could have effectively ended the game with a couple of kneel downs. If you watch the clip I'm talking about, and I know this because I've done it many different times, Sean Lee can be seen telling Byron Jones to take a knee. I'm not mad about this, to be very clear. I'm just bringing it up because I'm curious for your opinions, and you can let me know. You can at me or whatever you want. Wanye Thomas, dude, you got to go down. You've got to go down, Wanye. I understand, and I'm sorry that I'm the old man who's yelling at the cloud or telling you to get off my lawn. Maybe I am old. Maybe that's what's happening here, all right? But that being said, you got to go down. You have got to go down. I see Texas Shark Bite with a great kind of twist on this question, says, should Turpin have downed the ball at the 1? That's a more... I tell you what, I think so. I didn't really think about that in the moment, but I think so. Now, I'm more willing to give Turpin some leniency for scoring that touchdown than I am for Wanye Thomas, because Wanye's got the game won. At that point, there's the timeout situation. You just fall down. You take one knee, you get on the plane, you fly home, you get ready for Thanksgiving. It's not as, key in the lock turn and you're in, for Kevontae Turpin in that moment. It's a little bit more touch and go because it's a 1-point game at that point. Wanye Thomas, you've got to go down. You have to go down. You absolutely have to go down. I'm sorry. I know scoring the touchdown is awesome, and I understand that the win probability is extraordinarily high if you score the touchdown, but the fact that it exists is obviously the whole point here. If you can make your win probability 100%, that is the goal. And I put that not even on Wanye Thomas. I put that on John Fossil, because the Cowboys called a timeout right before that onside kick attempt. And so if you're John Fossil and you're as good as we've said that you are at this profession and at being a special teams coordinator, the number one thing that you're telling everybody in the huddle as you're getting ready to go do this onside kick, you're saying, all right, guys, you recover this onside kick, you're going down. Don't even think about it, because a million different things. You can fumble. You can obviously, they can score after you score. I mean, you're inviting the opportunity for disaster, and that's what you have to avoid. But I mentioned win probability. I did want to share because I find it to be utterly hilarious. Shout out to my friends at NFL Pro. What you're looking at is the win probability from Sunday's win for the Cowboys against the Commanders. Look at this fourth quarter. This is chaos. I mean, this was really, the Cowboys, obviously were pretty much in control. And even then, their win probability, the lowest that it dipped here. Let's see if I can get it right down there. That's the closest I can get it. Lowest that it dipped, we're talking, 75% at the very worst. This was always a game that Dallas was relatively in control of, but obviously it got a little bit scary as far as we were concerned in our thoughts and our opinions. And look, I understand those of you who are Team Tank. I see you, by the way. DZ55 says Thomas should have just gone down. Johnny Boyaren says it was good to see this team win, and I look forward to a Thanksgiving victory and a hook-em victory on Saturday. Look, I'm a Sun Devil and an Aggie, so you better get the heck out of here with that talk, all right? We're seeing Georgia in the SEC championship game, Johnny Boyaren, all right? And that's that. I have spoken. That being said, look, let me get this off your screen, and let me be real with you. If the Cowboys had lost And I don't blame Dan Quinn for kicking the extra point that Washington missed. That feels so lost in everything, by the way, with all the chaos of the fourth quarter and the end and the final minutes and the final moments and whatnot. The fact that Austin Seibert missed the game tying extra point kind of is like the fourth thing that I think about. That being said, I don't fault Dan Quinn for kicking the extra point. But I mean, they could have gone for two. They could have won. And had that happened, had Washington won the game on the one play Terry McLaurin touchdown that was massive, that's going to win people fantasy leagues all over the world, by the way. That's the worst, by the way, when some dude has like a massive play that is inconsequential to the actual NFL result, but it makes you lose in fantasy. So if you're up against Jaden Daniels or Terry McLaurin, T's and P's. Anyway, that being said, if the Commanders had won, this would have hurt. I don't even know what it would have hurt like, because the Cowboys have done enough almost every week. Obviously, they've been blown out for a lot of games, here recently, but they have this horribly toxic ability and capability to, just kind of keep themselves in it and and to make you think that they have a chance, and to make you think that they can do it. And I'm not calling you out, Taish, but I'm using your point as an example. Taish's comment says, dude, they might be favored in their next 3 games. Let's take a look at the next 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys. Look, I don't know if I'm going to write about it this week. Now, just to be straight up with you, when this week happens every year, it's a very busy time at Blogging the Boys, and it's very busy for me because and it's the case any Thursday night game, right? And that makes sense, or Thursday game, because you're squishing a week's worth of obviously it's just incredibly unsafe for the players, but from a content standpoint, you're trying to get everything out that you would across a normal week very quickly. So there's not really time for these kind of one-off sort of things. If the Cowboys win on Thursday, I promise you on Thanksgiving, I will write and I will do a video about this. So make sure to check out bloggingtheboys.com, Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Follow me on social is the best way to kind of get everything. That being said, Taisha's comment says, dude, we might be favored in the next 3 games. Let's take a look at the next 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to my friends at Pro Football Reference and StatHead. All right, what you're looking at here is the Cowboys schedule so far this season. They're 4-7. Obviously, today isn't updated after the win, but you look at it, they're 4-7. They play the New York Giants. I'm just going to speak for all of you. I think that we all think the Cowboys are going to win, right? It's going to put them at 5-7. And I promise you, 2 things. 1, we're all going to be listening to Christmas music next Friday morning. It's going to be awesome. That being said, number 2, Thursday night, when you're having your leftovers, you're having your pie, you're breaking bread with your uncles and your aunts that you haven't seen in a long time, and they're asking you about your life and telling you about theirs and all this stuff. All right, it's going to be a great time. I promise. Just put on a smile. All right, it'll be a good time. That being said, when that's happening, because we all have a problem. All right, let's be straight up. We can trust one another. We all have a problem. When the Cowboys are 5-7 on Thursday night, we're going to be sitting there. We're going to go, dude, it's possible. I know it. I know it, and you know it. All right. We know it that on Thanksgiving night, when the Cowboys are 5-7, and because they're going to look good, and I don't mean like last year Thanksgiving good, but they're going to look good on Thanksgiving. They're going to look like a legitimate, competent NFL team, kind of like the way they did today, except for a handful of moments. That being said, they're going to look good, and they're going to be 5-7, and we're going to talk ourselves into this. We're going to talk ourselves into saying, well, you know what? They could beat Carolina. That's going to be win number 6. They could beat Tampa. That's win number 7, right? They could beat Washington in that final game at home. That's win number 8. If they beat the Bengals, right? I mean, who knows what the Bengals are wildly talented. I mean, it's really unfortunate for them what's happening because they're just playing so well and having the worst possible moments that ruin games for them. Maybe that's the bridge too far. But man, I tell you what, we are going to talk ourselves into 8 or 9 wins being possible for this team. And I don't think that is unfair. I mean, I don't think that it is. I really think it kind of makes sense, which is what our problem is. DC55 says, oh my gosh, Taish might be right. We might be favored the next 3 games. The Bengals one is the one that I can't go with you all on. I don't know that the Cowboys will be favored. Now, it's a home game for Dallas, so that's certainly, if you're talking about being favored, that literal point, then you might be right. Maybe it's like a half-point favorite or 1.5-point favorite, line, something like that, because it is a home game, although not that home field advantage. Again, let's remember, people, that we're talking about a team that hasn't won a game at home since December 30th of last year. But that being said, they're going to be favored against the New York Giants. In fact, opening odds, they're not quite official. You always got to wait a little bit on Sundays for things, the waters to kind of calm. But as of right now, actually, no, there are no odds available at this moment in time. They should be up. I say that at the moment you and I are talking, it's about 4 p.m. now on Sunday afternoon, Central Time. But that being said, They'll be favored over the Giants. I don't think they'll be favored over the Bengals. And again, that Panthers game is on the road. So if we're being literal here, favored and betting lines and things like that, they might not be quite a heavy favorite on the road in Carolina, but they might be a 1.5, 2-point favorite, something like that. And even this Tampa team, look, we're sitting here, this Tampa team who just, waxed the Giants had lost 4 in a row before they played the Giants. And so I don't know that I buy into Tampa, right? So I promise you on Friday, we are going to believe on some level. It may be a very small part of us, but it will exist. It will be like the win probability for Washington after Wanye Thomas returned the onside kick attempt for a touchdown instead of taking a knee. The likelihood of it will exist in our bodies and in our hearts and in our souls and in our minds because we have a problem. But I tell you what, as horrible as that sounds, as horrible as it sounds to feel like this Cowboys team can actually go to the playoffs, just for them to go to Philadelphia and get embarrassed and have their season completely and totally ruined or whatever the case may be, as horrible as that would be, I'd sign up for it 100 out of 100 times. I would sign up for it 100 out of 100 times. And again, to kind of, go back to where we started here, I understand. I'm with you. I agree with you that tanking and preparing for the future is the wise course of action, that this season is lost, that even if you want to capital I, capital if, put asterisks and draw little stars and highlight it, even if the Dallas Cowboys were to somehow make the playoffs, they can't win the Super Bowl, right? Like, we all know this. We all understand this. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything else, but what I am trying to tell you is that the part of me that first fell in love with this team and first fell in love with this game and loves sports cannot turn that part off. I cannot say that I don't want to experience it. I cannot say that I want to do my Christmas shopping with the Cowboys already mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. I want a ridiculous, irrational way to tuck myself into this possibly happening. These last few weeks, these last few months, let's go further back. This whole calendar year since All In and everything else and signing Zeke and not signing Derrick Henry or Saquon or drafting Jonathan Brooks or pick whatever you want. Pick the one of 50 things that happened that we're all pissed off about. None of that was fun. Nobody enjoyed any of that. We all share the sentiment. We all have thoughts on it, but we all enjoy this more. Taish with a great line says, nobody watches sports to be wise. Being a fan is to be outrageous. I'm just now at the age of 35 understanding that wrestling in the 90s was kind of cool. I didn't watch it at all, but I've watched a couple of matches with some friends and kind of learned a little bit about it. And as I watch it, I can feel like, you know what, this was probably sick. This was probably really cool and really funny and really interesting to kind of enjoy in the moment. That there's something to letting yourself be lost in it, to just completely giving way, to just completely suspending reality and allowing yourself to live and to float and to levitate and to defy gravity. And I still haven't seen Wicked, and it's a busy week, so I don't know that I'm going to be able to for at least another 10 days or so. And I'm very upset about that, but I can't wait to check out the soundtrack. That's what this is all about. And that's not to say you're wrong if you want to tank, because there's no wrong way to be a fan. If you don't want to watch the games, if you think this was a one-off, I'm not going to even disagree with you, because it's possible that it is. It's very possible. It's well within the realm of possibility that this Cowboys team is going to turn around and lose to the Tommy DeVito-led Giants. But what I tell you is that we're all going to go to sleep tonight. Maybe not all of us, but a lot of us are going to go to sleep on Sunday night, and we're going to be a little bit happier. We're going to feel like, you know what? That was cool, man. That was pretty sick. That's Cavante Turpin touchdown. Remember that? Can you believe Wanye Thomas? That guy RJ thinks he should have taken a knee. He's such a square. It was so cool when he scored that touchdown. That was badass. And RJ's a loser for thinking it shouldn't have happened. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the dance. It's all part of the fun. And I enjoyed it on Sunday, and I hope that you did too. I hope you enjoyed the game and the song and the dance and the fun. Lad50 says it's something being a diehard fan. My son-in-law made me watch the game. Well, I hope you and your son-in-law enjoyed the experience together. And if I don't talk to any of you, I hope you have a wonderful and a happy and a very blessed Thanksgiving with whoever you celebrate it with. I hope your food is delicious. I hope you obviously watch an entertaining game from the Cowboys. I hope that, whatever your traditions are with your family or your friends or your group, whoever if you're spending time with people, will be spending it with. I hope it is exactly what you're kind of wanting and yearning for, I should say, in your heart, because that's what this time of year is obviously all about. In case you're curious, I will be here in the Bleacher Report app following the Thanksgiving Day game. So if you want to bring some turkey, some leftovers, tell me what you have. had. Whether you call it pecan or pecan, I would totally love to hear those thoughts. Hopefully after the Dallas Cowboys get to 5-7 on the season. Otherwise, if you like my content, if you like what I do, you can check me out and all my written work at blogontheboys.com. The Blog on the Boys YouTube channel is where you can watch, obviously, all the video production that I do on a day-to-day and weekly and monthly and yearly basis. If you want more direct access to me, social media is obviously the place to do that. Twitter, Instagram, Threads, at RJ Ochoa. Somebody had that username is the joke I always say on TikTok. So rj.ochoa is how you get me there. If you want to send me a DM, I always say Instagram is the best place to do that. But if you want to send an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com is the best way to handle that as well. For now, my friends, I will bid you all adieu. I hope you had a wonderful day. And I do want to close and say a very happy birthday to my son. He is just the best. And just being a parent is there were so many people and have been so many people who have been around for my journey as a content creator, whatever you want to call this, and who were around when he was born. And so many people said that being a dad would be the best thing ever. And I think about that all the time because you all were absolutely right. It is the best thing ever. Being his dad is the best thing ever. And being your friend, being your internet friend, everybody, is a very close second to that. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will see you next time.